to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here on the mic every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, live on the GSMC Sports Network and the GSMC Podcasting Network. Make sure you guys subscribe to YouTube, Superman Punch that, like, and follow so you guys can get some cool notifications when we all go live. So it's been one hell of a week, in terms of the NFL, in terms of all sports. We got college basketball heating up, who's going to go down to March Madness. Also, we have some pretty interesting news as of late. Internet here in Southern California sucks. I'm just kidding. No, that's not news. Obviously, what's happening with the fires, and obviously, pray for LA. Most of them are actually, they're getting contained. We are expected to get some rain here in SoCal, but now I guess there's flood warnings and now there's mudslide warnings. So if it's not one thing, it's the other thing, which sucks. But amen for the rain. Thank God. Well, we have a great show for you today, guys, all planned out. We're going to go ahead and talk about some WWE SmackDown review. I'm going to try to talk about things other than, other things that I will be talking about at Saturday night's main event. Kind of like the underlying things that happened on SmackDown that was interesting. And then we're going to talk about TNA. We have TNA and Ring of Honor live results. We're going to talk about Saturday night's main event. We're going to go ahead and talk about Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks, he wants out of his AEW contract. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the controversy. We're going to talk about maybe some potential WWE storylines. And then our fifth and final segment, we're going to go ahead and talk about WrestleMania going to Paris. I'm just kidding. No, that was a terrible French accent. I apologize for all the French audiences out there. If you want to send some hate mail, make sure you send it to Eric Rodriguez at, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We have a pretty awesome show for you today lined up. So, but before we get into any of that, obviously, go ahead and if you want to share a comment, leave it in the comment section after watching the video. Technically not going live right now. So, honestly, if you have an opinion about it, comment about it. I will definitely respond to you guys. I guarantee you 1,010%. But if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of world of professional wrestling, we love your guys' input 1,010%. And obviously, it's a great way to kind of, keep tabs on the network, make sure that you guys feel you feel, even when we do go live, make sure you guys feel that you can get anything off your chest here at the GSMC Sports Network. We want you guys to feel absolutely comfortable 1,010%. We are all ears, and obviously we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010%. Whether if you got a burning question or just some random hot take in terms of professional wrestling, we love it. Absolutely. Don't even worry about, there's no such thing as as a stupid comment. Sometimes, I watch YouTube videos or, I'll see a post on Instagram or Twitter and I'm like, I start typing things out and then I'm like, oh man, I don't know, if I post this, people might go savage and just start ringing me out and be like, dude, you're stupid. What are you thinking about? You don't know true wrestling, But, at the end of the day, it is just, it's all opinion. Professional wrestling, it could be subjective. 1,010%, as opposed to, broadcasting or analyzing or, talking about baseball, basketball, football. You try your best, try not to be biased. Bias in professional wrestling is kind of non-existent because you do have your good guys and your bad guys. You have your heels and you have your baby faces. So obviously, you guys feel free to comment and, make sure you guys, say whatever you want. I can handle a little bit of criticism here. It's all good. It's all good in the neighborhood. You know what? It's already water under the bridge. Don't even worry about it, guys. Don't you even worry your pretty little heads about it. All right. So first, we're going to talk about some WWE SmackDown. I thought it was a good episode. I know I'd say that every single time I analyze any kind of wrestling thing, but another 3-hour episode of WWE SmackDown, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Obviously the biggest hype about the episode was Tama Tonga taking on the LA Knight and the Motor City Machine Guns, finally getting their hands on Pretty Deadly, which they did. But Pretty Little Deadly, they were decent. They honestly. I like the fact that they're actually wrestling on, and I like the fact that they're getting matches. I like the fact that they're getting promos. I just don't think they're tag team championship material, and that's okay. That's okay. But, you have all these other, Kit Wilson, Elton Price, they're not bad superstars. But you have Saban and you have Alex Shelley, obviously coming from, in the independent wrestling circuit and TNA. It's, you're kind of up against this brand new, like totally exciting, badass tag team coming in. It's like a new toy. When you get a new toy, when you were a kid, you play with it a bunch of times, and eventually you'll be like, oh, I kind of missed that old toy. So I think Pretty Deadly is going to stick around. I do honestly think that they would pay more dividends on SmackDown, but you recently saw Austin Theory and Grayson Waller move to on SmackDown as well, which I don't really think it's best. I feel like they should be split up. I want to see Grayson Waller back on the NXT roster, much like I would like to see Austin Theory have a singles title run. I feel like that would be both. I feel like that would be better for both competitors. But it is what it is. So I guess that at this time, us as wrestling fans, we just gotta suck it up and deal with it. I definitely admire what Pretty Deadly's what they're trying to do, but a tag team of that kind of, like, you don't get the the classic glamour spots. And when WWE SmackDown goes to when it goes back to 2 hours, which Triple H said it will, he said sometimes in June or July. I just hope by that time they're not totally sinking to the point where like they get released or anything like that. That'd be pretty terrible, because inside the ring it came close. There was a couple of close counters where they could have defeated Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Obviously, you saw I think it was Los Garza that got involved, and it just just wasn't good. Just wasn't good. All right, next we have B-Fab and Michin taking on Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. This match was ultimately kind of placed to kind of show that there can be maybe, an underlying storyline where you can have Chelsea Green and Piper Niven kind of go through this, Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. Nia Jax, of course, the women's champion. Chelsea Green, the United States champion. Tiffany Stratton, the Money in the Bank winner. Piper Niven, obviously, she wants to get her name on the board. And I feel like she is going to be a future WWE United States Women's Champion without a doubt. I don't think that's much of a question. Something that does come to question is B-Fab. Every single time she steps inside the ring, I feel like she can do, more than what she's put up to in terms of WWE creative storyline telling. I feel like she is a star. She kind of seems like she's hiding in the back. I don't know why WWE's hiding such a great talent. But I think it'd be very, very... It would be not poetic, that's not the right word. It would be absolutely beneficial for both WWE and B-Fab if you kind of have her go after Chelsea Green. She obviously going after the United States Championship, another competitor, someone that can cut a decent promo. And Chelsea Green, she's like a walking promo, so that's not much of a surprise. But it was kind of cool to see B-Fab and Michin actually pick up that victory. So, I think it's just a matter of time. That, she's going to be a champion. Next, we have Damien Priest. It was Nick Aldis talked to Carmelo Hayes being like, yeah, you know what? Your opponent's going to be arriving any moment now. Honestly, I kind of, I got to lie to you guys. And I do like, I kind of thought Trick Williams was going to come to SmackDown. But, him on NXT kind of stating his claim that he wants a rematch, I don't think that way anymore. And that's good for NXT. Obviously, you got to keep that television deal with the CW, so that you need those big main superstars like Trick Williams. So, I'm happy he's going to stay on NXT. I honestly don't think he would move to Raw. It would make no sense to have somebody who can cut, who's like, has all the glamour, who has all, like Trick Williams, and I'm, not trying to make this weird or anything, but he's like, it's like if Seth Rollins and CM Punk kind of like had some kind of like, like a baby together. Like that's how, because he has the mic skills of CM Punk and the Andy Face attitude, and he has the flair of CM Punk and the of Seth Rollins and the attitude and the baby face, name, image, likeness. So, why not? You got to keep Trick Williams on NXT. Next, we have Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Liv Morgan taking on Rhea Ripley, Naomi, and Bianca Belair. This, this match, it started all of a sudden. I thought it was kind of cool. You have all these girls coming out, probably All of them, no, not probably. All of them are going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. So, like the men did on Raw, SmackDown, week by week, they're like, no, I'm declaring myself in the Rumble. No, I'm declaring myself in the Rumble. I think the women's division just came out flat out, and they're like, Raw women's superstars and SmackDown women's superstars come out. We'll cut a big giant promo, and we'll have you guys face off in a 6-woman tag team match. Obviously it was won by the bad guys, Liv Morgan and Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. I've had my doubts about Liv Morgan. I do, 1,010%. But, I feel like she's Intercontinental Championship material. Her against Lyra Valkyria, they would be an amazing match. They would be an amazing, it'd be amazing storytelling. You have the complete babyface from another country, Lyra Valkyria. Everybody loved her in NXT. She's came to WWE's, done nothing but amazing things. And then you have, Liv Morgan. I feel like that would be a great storyline. I feel like that would be a great championship heading toward, maybe WrestleMania, perhaps. If this whole Becky Lynch thing doesn't get involved, because I feel like Becky Lynch would want to get a shot at Lyra Valkyria's WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship match, because you saw Valkyria dethrone Becky Lynch when she took a step down to NXT and become the Women's NXT Women's Champion. So that, kind of like poetic justice, you have two friends going at it, one of those matches that it's like, oh, you don't really have your bad guy, your good guy. Whatever happens at the end of the match is, the result will ultimately be favorable for the fans. So, not much of a, but it was all right. Nia Jax was, it was crazy how she was trading insults with fans, obviously playing a huge, heel role. But I don't know. Her career or her next steps, it could be interesting. I hate that Nia Jax, she had a decent title run. I'm not going to say that it was garbage and it wasn't good. I feel like at times she did feel like she was one of the strongest women on the WWE main roster. On SmackDown, Raw, even on NXT, nobody really could touch Nia Jax, who she was, and what she was doing inside the ring, just playing out dominance. And superstars like that, I feel the same thing about Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley kind of comparing to the men adjacent to Brock Lesnar, where sometimes they just seem so damn strong that it's like if you give them a title, us as the wrestling universe, we're not that dumb to the point where it's like, oh, we're just going to have someone like Rey Mysterio defeat somebody like Braun Strowman. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see stuff like that. Because they'd be like, okay, guys, we have to, of course, kind of compel to this source of realism. If you put enough realism in, in fiction, maybe there's a point where somebody might, where wrestling fans might feel like it, it's true. But, Rhea Ripley, she's such a strong champion. And I feel like the only person that could probably dethrone her would have been Nia Jax, maybe Charlotte Flair, but there's also a lot of different superstars that could be coming in with this WWE NIL and the WWE Independent Wrestling. And I feel like it would create for better competition, for more, audience members, for high ratings. It would just be, I feel like it'd be great for WWE. Next, we saw a video package with Charlotte Flair's return. It was, it was pretty good, but I guess it was hard to tell if WWE wants her to kind of be like a babyface or a heel as she returns. I feel like, on SmackDown, why does it matter? Why should it matter if she's a heel or babyface? She can basically go in kind of like a Randy Orton, where she's going to go out there and do whatever the hell she wants. She's going to manipulate superstars to kind of stab them in the back, or she's gonna be genuine and kind of be that babyface factor. I definitely feel like if she does come back as a babyface, you can bet your arse that it was probably Bianca Belair and Naomi who attacked Jade Cargill, because it would make no sense for so many baby faces. You would have to keep Nia Jax, obviously, Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green. I don't really feel like Piper Niven's really a bad character. Tiffany Stratton, I feel like, a couple of I wanted her to win the WWE Women's Championship. I did. I really, really did. I felt like, this should have been one of the greatest women's Money in the Bank cash-in of all time. But just kind of seeing her and hearing her on the mic and seeing her on SmackDown, I don't know if it's popping with the fans too much. Like, I know the whole Tiffy time thing, and maybe it's just me kind of being a little hard-headed as an old school WWE fan, or as a wrestling fan for that matter. I just don't feel like Tiffany Stratton could just embrace that babyface heel. Like, she's so like in your face. Like, she could be snooty, she could be a little attitude-ish. She'd be like, "Oh, I deserve this, I deserve that." Like, she could think of her career as something that should be put on a pedestal. She feels like she can be part of the Hall of Fame already. It's she's just I don't know. Maybe in a couple of weeks it will clear up of how they will, ultimately want to take the direction of Tiffany Stratton's character. But as of right now, I just, I don't know. I just, she's not really a babyface or a heel. I guess that's what I'm ultimately trying to say. Apollo Crews defeats Johnny Gargano, DIY, as WWE champions. I like it. I do like it a lot. Apollo Crews getting some love, getting some attention on SmackDown, getting some TV time. But, he was able to pick up the win, so definitely happy about that. We have LA Knight obviously defeating Tama Tonga. It wasn't really, never really anything of question. Damien Priest was revealed as the new signing for WWE SmackDown by Nick Aldis. Took on Carmelo Hayes in a pretty good match, but, Damien Priest, he came out victorious. It's cool to see him on SmackDown. That's definitely where he belongs. Hate this Judgment Day constant, oh, God. Beating Finn Balor, Carlito, McDonough. It gets old. I'm glad to see him finally start to embrace an own individual character and, kind of putting this Judgment Day thing behind him, because they're getting to the point where it was getting a little bit too wash, rinse, and repeat. It was getting too repetitive, and, I wasn't really into it. Kevin Owens defeats Jimmy Uso, obviously. Jimmy Uso attacked by Carmelo Hayes in the beginning of the fight. He still came out. He put on a good match, a decent match. I love the fact that Kevin Owens had an in-your-face approach with the Naomi, the glow shirt. I thought that was pretty badass. I could even see, when you saw Jimmy Uso saw what he wore, he kind of broke kayfabe a little bit, shed a little bit of a smile, but Kevin Owens was able to kind of pick up the victory, and he was going to drive him through, with a package pile driver, but then Cody Rhodes come out, still building up momentum, heading toward WWE Saturday night's main event. So, like I said, it just, it was good. It was a nice little build-up episode, not to just Saturday night's main event, but the WWE Royal Rumble, especially for the women's division. All right, guys, so hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into my Thursday night wrestling review. We're going to talk about Ring of Honor. We're going to talk about some TNA, so grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, join me here in about 25 seconds, so hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday. Not Monday through Friday. Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Here on our GSMC Sports Network, GSMC Podcasting Network, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, live professional wrestling. Obviously, if you have a hot take, drop it in the comment section or leave a comment at the end of the video. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, all the rumors and all the drama. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings amongst superstars. We talk about inactive statuses and injury updates. We talk about promotions from WWE to AEW to TNA to Ring of Honor to the NWA to New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So don't forget to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show, follow the network, and I guarantee you will do no wrong. So let's go ahead and talk about our next. We have the Ring of Honor and we have TNA Impact results. But of course, like I was talking before, make sure you guys feel absolutely not obligated. Make sure you guys feel, like you don't have to do it. But we love it when we hear a lot of feedback. Feedback is a gift, especially from all the fans, especially from everybody tuning in. Whether if you stumble upon this podcast by accident or heard it from a friend, if you feel like this podcast is, lacking something thereof, definitely let us know in the comment section. 1,010%. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. The GSMC Sports Network does, does embrace the philosophy of peace, love, and positivity. 1,010%. But in terms of talking sports, it's all good. It's all good in the neighborhood. Criticism, it happens. Disagreements, they happen. So it doesn't really matter. Just want to make sure you guys feel absolutely comfortable to share whatever's on your beautiful minds in that comment section. So yeah, don't be shy and drop your thoughts inside that chat. All right, we have Ring of Honor and TNA. That's going to start off with Ring of Honor, television's 100th episode. I gotta be honest, I do love the fact Ring of Honor's been around for such a long time. It has, and it does deserve its flowers, 1,010%. A lot of young, talented superstars did fight in Ring of Honor. Obviously, check it out on their webpage, or I think they're Ring of Honor Plus. No, what is there? I think it's Ring of Honor TV. Make sure you guys subscribe to that because it's it's pretty badass. But overall, it's a good show. It's a great show. Like, if you want to get to know a lot of the wrestling talent, sometimes a lot of people do just, they just negate all WWE news and all AEW news, and they just want to hear. Well, not AEW is technically part of Ring of Honor, but some people might think of it as a little bit of a flashy approach. Ring of Honor is like your classic wrestling thing, your classic, like, you put on the television, crack open a nice cold one. A cold, Coke or something. I'm just kidding. Moving on. It's that old school wrestling approach that I feel like it's it's really appreciated, and much like as undervalued and underappreciated and what is the right word for it? Underrated, like like TNA, and also the NWA. I've seen a couple of Power episodes, and it's good. It does its due diligence, and it serves the purpose, which in every single wrestling fan's mind, it's just entertainment. And it's just, pretty cool. Like I said, you have your good guys, you have your bad guys, you have your storylines, you have your feuds, and it could either be good or it could be bad. But at the end of the day, we're wrestling fans and we soak that stuff up. All right, we have a Ring of Honor World Television title match. We had Komander defeating QT Johnson. I like Komander. I do like him as the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. I was a huge fan of Kyle Fletcher when he held the gold, of course. But, of course, all good things must come to an end. And it seems like ever since Kyle Fletcher lost that championship, he's kind of been more of a jerk, which in the eyes of some people, it could be super badass and super cool. But, I kind of like Kyle Fletcher when he was more of a babyface. But, what he's doing in AEW right now with the Don Callis family, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. He's getting more television time, more time to share his perception of this whole thing, this whole Will Ospreay thing, and the stable and the faction that they had back in the day. Kind of gives him a little bit of a voice, and he doesn't. It's not that he. Well, you know what? To be honest, when he did cut his hair on live television, well, not on live television, it was on Dynamite. It did seem like the promo kind of strung on for quite some time. I thought the promo was over, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't want to be like Will Ospreay anymore. He's like, and I was like, oh dang, like, talk about the shock factor, got that down. But, all in all, Komander, #1 Ring of Honor television champion right now. So, obviously throwing flowers to my guy. Layla Gray defeats Marty Bell. We have the Outrunners, Truth Magnum, and Turbo Floyd defeating John Cruz and Rosario Grillo. The Beast Mortos is back in action, taking on Lord Crude. The Beast Mortos was on a roll for quite some time. Like, in the summer, he was killing it. And now he's kind of, getting back to that mid card. I definitely, because I know he did, he fought against, Mark Briscoe in that match. And I thought Mark Briscoe was going to lose it that right then and there. I think it was, oh God, what was it? I can't remember the PLE name. But, it was a good match. It was a good match. It definitely has a lot of potential. But Mark Briscoe was that more, that a little bit more badass. We had a Ring of Honor Classics match. We had the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal taking on Sema and Shingo, the Ring of Honor International Challenge on December 22nd back in 2006. I gotta be honest, I kind of like the fact that you see a lot of classic matches on Ring of Honor. I definitely like they kind of devote themselves to be like, we're gonna give them, we're gonna give it a little bit more glory than it actually is. Kind of because they understand that there's a lot of old school wrestling fans watching professional wrestling, that age demographic from 18 to 40 years old. It pays dividends. Sometimes, like if you're watching Raw or SmackDown, and then you get like a, we're going to take a little sidestep. Maybe instead of a commercial, you get a classic match between, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, or Triple H and The Rock, or Triple H and Mankind, John Cena, Edge, Randy Orton taking on Batista or something like that. Like, that would be pretty dang interesting. But, I definitely like that aspect of Ring of Honor. Taya Valkyrie with Deonna Purrazzo defeating... not with Deonna. It wasn't a handicap match. Accompanied by Deonna Purrazzo, defeating Lady Frost. Gates of Agony defeated Jay Lucas and Teriyaki. Katsuyori Shibata defeats Shane Taylor. With his band of miscreants. I'm just kidding. No, I do like the Shane Taylor promotions. I feel like it's kind of not like a bootleg version of the Hurt Business, because they were technically their first. But, I feel like right now their storyline, they come in, they could be badass at one point. And at another point, I don't know, maybe an inconsistency. Or I might be missing the bigger picture of it. But I don't know, I just feel like it could be, I feel like they could be better. They could definitely be better. All right, we have TNA Impact. Obviously, the fallout of, of Genesis, excuse me. We saw new TNA World Champion Joe Hendry cut a nice in-ring promotion. Joe Hendry says he told Santino that he wants to defend his title against absolutely anyone and absolutely anywhere. And then you saw the TNA Director Authority, Santino Marella, come out on the ramp, and he tells Joe that someone has accepted his offer for tonight's main event. The person was revealed to be none other than the Matt Cardona. I wonder what he's going to say with TNA. You've been seeing him on AEW. He's like, nobody really knows who, like, he's like, what should I say? I don't know if any of you guys watched the new, the Spider-Man Into the Multiverse thing with Miles Morales. Like, he's like the Spot. Like, he goes anywhere he wants. Like, he can literally jump to any wrestling universe, and then it's like, oh, look, it's Matt Cardona. You know what I mean? But in WWE, people would be like, hey, look, it's Zack Ryder. Which I feel like maybe kind of scares him off a little bit of making that jump to WWE. Because, like you've seen it in this promo, I think it was against Chris Jericho. He was like, and then Chris Jericho was kind of referring to him as Zack Ryder. And then and it seemed like he was like, no, I'm not that guy anymore. And then in that. But, I definitely think Matt Cardona is one of the best wrestlers right now we have in the whole entire universe. Will he be detrimental to any wrestling, universe or any wrestling promotion he joins? No, absolutely not. He can cut a good promo. He can put on a great match. It'd be interesting to see him and Chelsea Green be, if they get, if they're, united in a wrestling promotion would be pretty interesting. Masha Slamovich and Spitfire defeat Rosemary and House of Elegance. Man, it seems like House of Elegance is kind of taking a step back. Like I was kind of talking about before, obviously with Ash and Heather. I thought they were going to win the Knockouts championships. I thought it was going to be like, because I've seen tag teams ultimately kind of faltered to Spitfire, but there was a tag team they were tag team champions before. I think it was Slamovich and Edwards. I'm not too sure. And I was like, oh, you know what? I feel like Spitfire, they're going toward a downturn. But they're one of my favorite women's tag team in all of wrestling, even in WWE. So, it's kind of cool to see them kind of keep, rolling on. And Masha Slamovich as well, kind of establishing herself, her reign as TNA Knockouts champion. So, of course, kudos to her and, throwing flowers. Josh Alexander and the Northern Armory cut an in-ring promo. You saw Josh Alexander said he regretted the man he had become over the past couple of months. He said it was time to step aside. Icarus and Williams were noticeably frustrated by this. Icarus tells Alexander he cannot leave. They attacked Alexander, and Williams hit him with a chop block. Then Icarus hit him with the Superman punch. Eric Young came out to save him, and then he and Alexander challenged Icarus and Williams to a match next week. The Hardy Boys, the Hardys defeat Moose and JDC by pinfall via Swanton Bomb by Jeff Hardy onto Moose. And then it goes dark. And the number 23 flashes across the screen. Sami Callihan stood inside the ring demanding that 23 make their presence known. Out comes Stephanie Lander, said she was now the TNA Digital Media Champion. She won the title in the divorce before saying she would introduce Callihan to be her boyfriend. And then out comes Mance Warner. He hits Callahan with a lariat before smashing the title on Callahan's face. Then Warner and DeLander kissed in the middle of the ring. Obviously, kind of hiding what happened with PCO. I think it was a GCW event where he smashed the TNA Digital Media Championship in front of millions of fans, and now he's kind of being scrutinized about it, probably being written off of TNA television. A lot of people, including myself, I thought it was fake. Maybe there's some realism to it, or maybe we're just kind of buying into the kayfabe, which makes professional wrestling awesome. But having this with the whole divorce thing, and she said, she didn't even say PCO's name. They didn't, it was like a failed acknowledgement, and which kind of made me to believe that maybe this could possibly be real. Sami Callihan kind of came out to be like a bait, and then Warner. I think Mance Warner is going to be great in TNA. But, I don't know what they're going to do with the TNA Digital Championship. I would personally love, to see Nick Nemeth kind of win this championship. Because he was a great TNA World Champion. He has the face. He has the charisma and enthusiasm of holding the title. So there would be, I feel like he'd be an absolute, diamond in terms of becoming that TNA Digital Champion. We had the WWE NXT Championships on the line. We had Nathan Frazier and Axiom Fraxium defend up against the Rascals, and of course Fraxium, they do what they do best, taking on the Rascals, defeating them via Phoenix Splash from Nathan to Trey Miguel. It was a good match. I want to see more of these. Definitely want to see more of these. I want to see NXT superstars going after TNA titles. I want to see TNA superstars going after WWE NXT titles, and I feel like that's the way it should be if they're going to really make this partnership, if they're going to bring the best out of this partnership here. We saw Mike Santana basically addressing the San Antonio crowd, and they were, obviously, kind of throwing some flowers to all the Latinos that were there. I thought that was pretty awesome. Mustafa Ali returns, says that he announced that he officially signed a new contract with TNA. And then he said he wants to call a shot. He wants to challenge for the TNA World Championship, and I feel like that'd be pretty badass. Tessa Blanchard, she cuts a nice little promo, but a lot of fans still ultimately, kind of hate her. Blanchard says her family knew she could be more significant than Stone Cold Steve Austin or Terry Funk, but that seemed obviously a little bit too crazy. At the end of the night, we saw the TNA World Championship, Joe Hendry going up against Matt Cardona, and I was happy to see that Joe Hendry was able to kind of ultimately win this. I wanted to see it cleanly. I definitely 1,010% wanted to see it cleanly. Frankie Kazarian came at the announce table and still having that call your shot trophy. And And then JBL came out, obviously clotheslining Matt Cardona, staring down Joe Hendry, and walks away. Like, maybe is this possibly, will JBL maybe stake his claim? Maybe he'll come back and want to challenge for that TNA World Championship. That would be a pretty interesting storyline. I would definitely not rule that out, because JBL, he still got it. I'm just kidding. No, maybe not, but it should be TNA Impact, definitely rapidly becoming one of my favorite wrestling shows to watch throughout the week. So definitely keep it up. All right, guys, so wait, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about our next segment. We got WWE Saturday Night's main event. We're going to talk about some of the matches. Well, no, we're going to talk about all the matches. We're going to talk about all the action, absolutely all the action. So stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live on the GSMC Sports Network, talking about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, dramas, and updates. We talked about, inactive statuses, and we talked about injuries as well. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from New Japan Professional Wrestling to Stardom to WWE to Ring of Honor, from AEW to TNA. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So do not forget to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network for some cool notifications when we go live. All right, without further ado, let's go and jump on into our next segment. We got Saturday night's main event to talk about. I thought it was a great show. Obviously, hit up that the tips and donations link when we go live. Submit your comments. Don't worry, we definitely respond to every single comment that is, kind of ultimately left over. All right, so we're in for another edition of Saturday night's main event. Obviously, this is the second one. There was one that happened in December. Gotta love this nostalgic feeling that WWE is ultimately bestowing upon their fans. And they're hitting that key fan demographic between the ages of 18 to 40, 39 years old. And, bringing back names like, Jesse the Body Ventura to kind of, ultimately kind of let things run smoothly. And sometimes he does cut a little bit of hot take. He cut a hot take about San Antonio being like afraid of a little snow. And I was like, it was placed a little awkwardly. But, that's the body. That's just the body, man. We saw, legends like Dory Funk. We saw Mark Henry as well. So that was cool. We saw Alondra Blaze, who was, last time you seen her broadcasted in wrestling. I think she threw away that championship belt on WWE Nitro when, she was kind of screwed over. It was like the original Montreal Screwjob that wasn't obviously Montreal Screwjob. But, she was promised something and Vince wanted her to drop the title, but she didn't want to do it. And then bam, obviously that all comes full circle. But it was cool to kind of see her, when it comes to seeing some legends. I thought that was pretty badass. And, it's definitely something that WWE has done pretty damn well in terms of that. So, yeah. All right, so first and foremost, we had a Women's World Championship match. Rhea Ripley was able to knock out Nia Jax, but Nia Jax, she held her own. She held her own. There was a couple of times in the match that you thought it was over. Rhea Ripley, the fighting champion that she is, obviously super duper cares about the legacy that she's leaving as this Women's World Champion. She wants to be the absolute best at it. Just the way she's been, just the way Rhea Ripley is. I don't want to see Liv Morgan's title reign as like a as like a hiccup, or I don't want to kind of demean it or anything or any way. But I don't know. I just feel like Rhea Ripley as a champion, she's just a better face than Liv. And like I was talking about before in my a couple of segments ago, how I feel like Liv Morgan would be an amazing participant to become a WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion and kind of hold that title for quite some time. I can see her hold that title and bestow her reign and kind of have her and Raquel Rodriguez kind of run Monday Night Raw as the top heel, WWE Intercontinental Champion. And I think that would be better for her. I feel like with the Intercontinental Championship, I know it's kind of like viewed as like a mid-card belt in the women's division, but in the women's division, I don't really see how that could really come in fruition or kind of seem true. And I feel like anybody who can contend for the Intercontinental Championship could definitely contend for the World's Women's Championship. But right now, you have Liv, you have Lyra Valkyria, you have Io Sky. If you want to really kind of categorize it and have it like Intercontinental Championship competitors and World Championship competitors, I got to be honest, I would be way more interested to find out who's going to fight for that Intercontinental Championship. I got to be honest, I do. And it's nothing against Rhea Ripley. Nothing against Rhea Ripley whatsoever. She's just so damn strong. She's just so damn dominating. She has this presence inside the ring that's unfathomable. She's she's crazy good. She's crazy good, and I've kind of ultimately compared this to like the Brock Lesnar effect in professional wrestling. When Brock Lesnar was fighting Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, those guys would always be kind of viewed as the underdog. And that really doesn't make for good television or good matches or anything like that. You want, obviously if the underdog wins, yay, that's cool. Yeah. Like, it'll pop. That storyline, definitely it'll pop. But if you have the championship and if you have matches against two superstars that look like they can literally kind of go toe for toe with each other and have the title bounce back and forth amongst victories, be like, and superstars, be like, oh, he got the best of me this night. Or, you got the best of me that night. I feel like that makes for greater television than just have Brock Lesnar kind of run rampant all over somebody like Rey Mysterio, or runs rampant all over somebody like Finn Balor, or beat Kofi Kingston in a 5-second, 10-second match. Like, that's not cool. That's not cool. I don't, but that's just me. Of course, obviously that's my opinion. And I'm not saying Rhea Ripley has that same effect as Brock, because you've seen her in the ring where she could ultimately, and I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, she can ultimately downplay her skills to the opposition, to the competition. When her matches against Liv Morgan, there's a couple times where I saw, just like Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, they're not in the same league. Rhea Ripley, she is obviously, and it sucks because it's like, dude, you're too good. You're too good to hold the championship, because every single time you get inside a bout, people are going to know that you're going to win. And like I said, absolutely nothing against Rhea Ripley. But if I see somebody, I don't know, I feel like Charlotte, Bianca, maybe even Jade, I feel like those are the only people that could really dethrone Rhea Ripley. And that's just, maybe Asuka. But if you put Dakota Kai against Rhea Ripley, I'm going to look at him like, really? Like, I don't, or, maybe Shayna Baszler would be a wild card. But, so we're, at the end of the night, Rhea Ripley was able to kind of, she was able to retain. I personally thought I was going to hear Becky Lynch's music. So, it didn't happen. So we're going to see it next Saturday at the Royal Rumble. I wonder what number, Becky Lynch is going to be. All right, we saw the press conference, the signings, or whatever you like to call it, mediated or moderated, whatever you like to call it, by the Heartbreak Kid, San Antonio's own Shawn Michaels. And it was good. Definitely a build-up. I kind of did, not that I didn't like it. Shawn Michaels, Kevin, you seem jealous. Like, kind of being like, Captain Obvious over here. And then Kevin Owens goes off, and then, then they fight. And then it's, I feel like this storyline has to end at the Royal Rumble. If this whole thing goes on once again, I feel like Kevin Owens, when he I feel like he will lose against Cody Rhodes because I feel like if you let Cody Rhodes have a 2-year story to defeat Royal Rumble and 2 consecutive Royal Rumbles, why would you have him lose at at the Royal Rumble with Kevin Owens? But Kevin Owens will he'll lose. I feel like he'll lose, and he'll be in the Royal Rumble, and I feel like maybe he'll get eliminated by somebody like Jay or somebody like Sammy, and then he'll, I don't know, then he'll want to do something on Monday Night Raw or I don't know. I just feel like he belongs on Raw. He's kind of did everything that has to do on SmackDown. Maybe you see Randy Orton come back to eliminate him, kind of having their match. I feel like that's going to be his next opponent. I see him and Randy taking on each other in a stipulations match. Like we can see it like Edge and Randy Orton in the greatest wrestling match ever, which was kind of stupid, but it was all right. It is what it is. It was wrestling. I think that was during the COVID era. So during those times, it was like, storyline like that, we'll let it fly. But I definitely think Randy Orton is going to come back at the Royal Rumble, and maybe that's kind of the new storyline that Kevin Owens is going to go to. But the new storyline direction that Cody Rhodes is going to have heading toward WrestleMania, which is technically about 3 months away, I feel like it'll all come in fruition at the Royal Rumble, kind of like what you had when Rhodes won, and then he stared down Roman Reigns, and then they had a press conference with The Rock. And then he slapped a taste out of his mouth, and then he came to SmackDown and did the same thing. So maybe we'll see something like that. But it should be interesting. Braun Breaker defeats Sheamus. I kind of thought Sheamus might have had a chance. I thought there was going to be a title change during this Saturday night's main event, but I was wrong. But Braun Breaker once again shows why he is the future of WWE, a young rising star on SmackDown. Obviously, he was the standard for WWE NXT Championship for quite some time. Then he had the Tag Team Championships with him and Baron Corbin as the Wolf Dogs. I don't think Sheamus is done. He recently signed a contract with WWE for about 5 years. I feel like he will get a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. He will win. Definitely. But it's going to, if you're WWE creative, you're like, all right, I got 5 years of Sheamus. What's the next thing? We have to have some new competitors on Raw. I don't want to see him go up against Braun Breaker again. I don't want to keep seeing this Ludwig Kaiser feuding with Pete Dunne again. I feel like ultimately Logan Paul will come out and not next week, technically Monday, and stake his claim for the Intercontinental Championship. You have them go at it head-to-head at Royal Rumble. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you have both of these guys come into the actual match, the Royal Rumble match, and kind of maybe one of them eliminates the other person, and then the other one gets pissed off at each other. Classic WWE thing, but ultimately Braun Breaker defeats Sheamus and retains the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Braun Strowman, Jakob Fatu ends in a disqualification. Jakob Fatu did one too many butt slaps to the face. I'm just kidding, no. But Braun Strowman, he was busted open. He was bloody. He was bleeding everywhere. You see moonsault after moonsault. Jakob Fatu pulling a tsunami attack on Seth Rollins, obviously courtesy of Bronson Reed. Jakob Fatu, they were doing the side-by-side analysis, obviously that tail of the tape. And you know what's funny? I was sitting next to, and I don't want to sound like a bad parent, but you know what? She was playing with her toys. She was playing Roblox. I was sitting next to my daughter. She's about 6 years old. She was sitting right next to me, and she was watching the TV. I looked at her, and I was like, oh, she's watching wrestling. We got a wrestling fan being born before your very eyes. She was looking, and then she was like, Dad, the guy on the left, which was Braun Strowman, when they were doing the tail of the tape, they're like, the guy on the left is so much bigger, so much stronger than this guy. And I was like, yeah, baby, you're right. And lo and behold, Braun Strowman was totally killing it. He did a couple of the around the horn kind of hits. And Jakob Fatu, he looked weak. He couldn't even pick him up to do a Samoa drop on the announce table. Obviously, nothing against Jakob Fatu. He was great. Maybe this is something in terms of WWE booking. They're like, okay, we need to make something big happen at Saturday night's main event. But Braun Strowman, then at the end of the match, you have Jakob Fatu getting frustrated and beating the hell out of him. I really don't think this has anything to do with both of their character developments. I personally think this has something to do with the White Six coming to WWE SmackDown. Braun Strowman gets annihilated by the OG, by this new young bloodline. They come in. Uncle Howdy comes in. Eric Rowan comes back to save his former Wyatt family member, building up some momentum heading toward WrestleMania. That's honestly what I thought. I didn't really think this match was going to do anything in terms of any superstar. I knew this was going to end in a no decision, much like with Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, with the last monster standing match, dude. Like, it's not really anything in terms of their character development, mostly setting toward maybe a different storyline heading toward the future. But I thought this match, it served its purpose. It was very entertaining, but at the end of the day, you saw a disqualification. Jakob Fatu obviously just brutalizing Braun Strowman, which you don't see a lot. You don't see very often. Next, we have the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between Gunther and Jey Uso. I thought this was going to be a title change. I did, but Gunther was able to defeat Jey Uso. It was kind of weird. It seemed like at the end, it seemed like the result was kind of forced. You saw Jey Uso throw the spear at him. You saw Jey Uso throw the spear. And the splash and all that. You got the 1-2 near fall. Then you see Gunther laying on the mat, and he starts yelling at Jey Uso. He comes up, hits him with a power bomb, and then like bam, it's over. Stacks him up. And I was, that match ended so abruptly. I was like, dude, what the hell happened? Obviously, this match, like what Michael Cole kind of said at the end of the match, he was like, okay, now Gunther's obviously taking Jey Uso super duper serious. But you do have Goldberg right now breathing down the neck of Gunther. Goldberg basically, he said on a game day college football, or I think it was NFL Sunday, I'm not too sure. He said his next victim, he was looking at him, it was showing a picture of, showing footage of Gunther. So they're going to have their match at WrestleMania. Everybody knows that. That's something that is not really being hidden that much, that well. So Gunther can't have the title. This cannot be a title match, because if they let Goldberg win, that'd be stupid. If Gunther retains the title, yeah, it would work. But, I feel like if these guys are going to go at it, this should not have any title implications whatsoever. I could personally, maybe I could see, on Monday Night Raw, maybe you see Jey Uso, win a Battle Royal, or you see him win a Fatal 4-Way match to become the number one contender once again. He takes on Gunther at the Royal Rumble. It's the first match. Jey Uso defeats Gunther and becomes the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And then Gunther in the Royal Rumble, he's cruising. He's doing well. Looks like he's going to get his championship belt back. And at number 20 or number 17 comes out Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg comes out. He eliminates Gunther, or it's one of those things where they're teetering on the ropes, grappling each other, and then somebody like Roman Reigns or somebody like whoever comes over and eliminates both the guys. They keep beating the hell out of each other at the sideline. Refs got to get involved, and then thus kind of creating their tension toward WrestleMania. That's how I would do it, honestly. But, it is, I don't know if Gunther's going to hold the championship, and then maybe Goldberg's going to call a shot to be like, you know what? But WrestleMania is in Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas is definitely the entertainment capital of the world. Why not have a WCW icon like Bill Goldberg and the rising star of WWE, Gunther, go at it? I personally wouldn't see Gunther losing this match, because I feel like that would, but then again, if like I said before, if it's a non-title implication, I feel like it's more, it's more unpredictable. If Gunther had the championship, no doubt in my mind that that Goldberg would lose, you know what I mean? But, if he wants to go out on a high note, and obviously he says the reason why he's wrestling still to this day and came back and signed a a limited contract with WWE was to wrestle in front of his son, because his son never got to see him wrestle, via 2001, once when, WWE bought WCW and absolutely trashed everybody on the roster. I feel like, Bill Goldberg definitely, he likes the fact that his son could watch. And it's cool, and maybe in the future he becomes a WWE superstar. You have those ties. Obviously, your dad, he's a superstar enough in WWE, but former Universal Champion, so you got to throw some credit to Bill there. But overall, WWE Saturday Night's main event I thought was actually super cool. It was, I feel it was ultimately kind of built around, kind of building up momentum toward the Royal Rumble, which it did. And, obviously, round of applause. All right, guys, so hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our next segment. We got Ricky Starks asking AEW for a release. We're going to talk about the controversy when we come back. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, rumors, drama, and updates. We talk about inactive updates as well, injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings amongst promotions. We talk about WWE to AEW to TNA to Ring of Honor. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, you can hear it here on the GSMC Sports Network, on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. So make sure you guys smash that Superman punch, that like and subscribe button to the show. All right, so without further ado, we're going to talk about some Ricky Starks asking Tony Khan for an AEW release. Once again, Tony Khan is in the news, not wanting to let one of his superstars lead to maybe achieve greater pastures. A lot of people, think about, the whole thing that's happening with Rey Fenix right now. And, I don't think it's anything personal. I don't think if it's like, I know they're going to WWE, so I'm pissed off. I just think that, like, when people sign a contract, and I think it was Baron Corbin who tweeted something about it or posted something on social media, it's like, dude, when you sign a contract, not a lot of people embrace that contract anymore. Like you see with the NBA, you see with the NFL, when players get frustrated and they get pissed off, or, they feel like they want to leave, they just, demand a trade. And back in the day, it wasn't really like that. And I feel like that's maybe a reason why declining viewership in the NBA is kind of at an all-time high right now, is because audience members, fans who love the team, who are from the city, they can't really relate to their players anymore. They can't really invest, emotion or time and be like, because, if I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan, and we did it right. We had Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and we did have, obviously David Robinson for, in the early 2000s, late 90s, who was just kicking ass, who was just good. And they were great together. And there's a lot of role players that, that stood by Greg Popovich, because Greg Popovich ultimately wanted players to play for the name on the front of the jersey instead of on the back of the jersey. Be like, hey, no, you guys got a chance to be beloved. And you have a lot of fans, that was like, oh, you know what, I'm going to need to be, and that's something that the Golden State Warriors, I think, will, that ultimately done, super damn well as well. But there's big name stars that just really don't care. They're just like, I'm going to go for the biggest spot. I want to win a championship, but that's cool and all. Personal success is great. I'm not trying to, shed negative light on individualistic goals. That's cool. That's all good. That's the American dream, baby. But at the end of the day, if you really want to make a connection to the fans, it's like, the players win. The players win. The teams win. But the city doesn't win. They win a championship. Yeah, they win a championship. But the NBA really doesn't win a championship, or they don't really get more viewers. It just doesn't really seem like it. it's good for the league. And you've seen the NBA ultimately decline. Okay, moving on to Ricky Starks. We got Ricky Starks, who's a young, rising star that, he didn't get injured. And they're just not putting him on AEW programming or Ring of Honor. He's kind of had to jump to GCW events. And honestly, I don't really know what Tony Khan's doing right now. Ricky Starks is looking for, his way out of AEW. Starks has asked for a release in the past as well. Starks doesn't know why he hasn't been used. He's been absent off of AEW programming since March of 2024. Starks plans to work with the independent wrestling circuits to basically stay relevant, and that kind of sucks. Like I said before, he's a young rising star. He has a lot of skills. He has all the skills in the world. AEW. I hope Tony Khan's not investing in a lot of you see. And maybe he might be faltering to this, and I'm not saying Jon Moxley is an old superstar whatsoever, but he's the AEW champion again. AEW owns Ring of Honor. Who's the champion Ring of Honor? Aged, old, slow. He's not the same guy he used to be 10, 20 years ago. Chris Jericho, who holds the Ring of Honor World Heavyweights Championship, and, it's kind of lacking. It's kind of like, you see that match with, I think it was Dak Shepard? I could be wrong. And it just looked it looked bad. It looked bad. It's like, oh, we're the best wrestle? You sure about that? And you're just kind of playing into these memes. You're playing into a lot of these criticisms that a lot of the media, on Twitter or X, whatever you like to call it, Instagram or whatever, you have all these people kind of coming after you, kind of painting a negative picture of your outside perception based on, and they damn near have the right to, based on the matches that you are producing on your shows. If you want people to take you seriously as a wrestling promotion, you got, it's like I don't want to downgrade wrestling, but it's like a choreographed play. You think the producer of Cats, or do you think William Shakespeare, when he was directing or even acting in some of his plays, he was like, okay, we're gonna, then one of the actors like totally botched it. I bet your ass he went up to them at the backstage of the show and kind of slapped the crap out of him. He was like, I'm just kidding, no. Well, maybe that happened. I'm not disputing that fact, but ultimately, I feel like AEW has a better chance to kind of do something more beneficial for Ricky Starks and beneficial for the company if you kind of let him be all he can be. Other than that, he's going to leave to WWE and a lot of talent. I feel like, I'm not trying to seem like a jerk. I'm not trying to see Tony Khan trying to make you guys seem like he's a bad promoter or a bad person or bad for professional wrestling. But you've seen a lot of people kind of like, we've kind of seen, we've been in WWE. We thought the grass was greener on the other side. AEW, and now we would probably like to come to WWE, or like Ricky Starks is doing, spend time in independent wrestling circuits. Like, obviously a name that comes to mind is, Aleister Black or Malachi Black. Obviously, you don't really see Keith Lee anymore being broadcasted on AEW. Even Paul White, aka The Big Show, said that, dude, I got paid a contract for doing absolutely nothing, and I hate it. I want to go out there and do something. And then, of course, CM Punk. CM Punk absolutely left WWE on bad terms, vowed he would never come back to professional wrestling, only to come back to professional wrestling to stay in AEW for a little stint. And then he was like, oh, dang, I don't really like it here. I don't really like the people that run it. I don't really like the people who have a say-so. Obviously, maybe the Young Bucks, some of the EVPs. I'm going to come back to WWE, and against all of his wishes, against every moral fiber in his being, he came back to a company that, like Seth Rollins said, that he tried to destroy. Every single time he had TV time on AEW, he would throw crap at WWE. Only for CM Punk to come back. Does it really make sense? Unless you know that maybe something might be lacking over there in AEW. But I do watch AEW, and I do think it's I do think it's a great show. So I feel like they can be better. I said it a million times on this show already that I feel like 2025 is going to be great for AEW. They recently said they're going to be throwing shows on Prime Video. They signed this contract with HBO Max, and they will be broadcasting their PLEs on there, which I feel like is absolutely a necessity for them to do so, because if you make every single pay-per-view or PLE to be like, oh, you got to spend $50 to $100 to watch AEW or quote unquote the best wrestle, no one's gonna do that. No one's gonna do that. WWE knows that. WWE was like, oh yeah, we can have people pay for pay-per-views, and some people still do. But we're going to put it on Netflix. We're going to sign a Netflix deal. We're going to put it on Peacock. We're going to let you guys stream it live on Peacock. And, the subscribers pile up and pile up and pile up. And Peacock and NBC, along with the World Wrestling Entertainment, has a deal. Probably with, you have your subscribers. You kind of get your cut. And it's a money idea. Something that AEW should definitely embrace. But, with the whole thing, with all the bad press coming around Ricky Starks, and like I mentioned before, Ray Phoenix, basically, oh, you got injured. You got injured, so you got to spend some time here. The injuries, but, I feel like Ricky Starks hasn't really spent too much time on the shelf. Maybe here and there, a couple bumps and bruises. But he wants to be on AEW television. He wants it. He wants to be relevant. And for him to be relevant, he has to jump onto independent wrestling circuits. Are you kidding me? That's, I just don't feel like that should be great. I feel like he would be amazing in WWE, definitely on WWE NXT. I don't want to, gas him up if anything like that. But, he kind of reminds me of, a young, it kind of looks like The Rock a little bit. A young The Rock. I definitely feel like he could, he could be a rising star. He has the face, he has the voice, and he has the charisma, and he has the overall tactical, wrestling approach when you watch him on AEW. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of AEW. Ever since they've been on HBO Max, been watching a couple of old Dynamite episodes, and I can see why they missed Cody Rhodes. I can definitely see why that when he left, it was a huge blow to the company as opposed to CM Punk leaving. But no, it was a good product. It was cool. Jim Ross was there. A stadium or a venue filled up of 10,000 plus fans. And now they're lucky to get 8. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But it could be pretty cool for Ricky Starks to make his way into WWE. So Tony Khan currently suffering under the Paul Levesque era in terms of professional wrestling. Ricky Starks has a close relationship with his buddy Cody Rhodes. Ricky Starks was seen at multiple WWE events, the Royal Rumble, obviously, and I believe at WrestleMania as well. Will he be in the Royal Rumble this year? Ricky Starks, I don't think he will. I think that's highly less likely. It seems like the only reason people signed with AEW was ultimately to avoid Vince McMahon. And once when Vince McMahon left and, they were, Triple H, Paul Levesque took over, it seems like I said, the grass is greener on the other side. I feel like he could definitely be the future of, he could be an NXT champion. He can definitely be an NXT champion. Kind of, like I said, reminds me of a young The Rock or maybe even a young Austin Theory. But, unlike what Vince McMahon did to Theory, which totally messed up his career, I feel like Triple H would have this guy he'd be like the Wonder King. He'd be like the Wonder Boy, the next up-and-coming star. Maybe a USA champ, maybe an Intercontinental Championship. Who knows? His contract is expected to end last year with an option, but I believe he signed it. So Lord only knows if Ricky Starks will make his way into a WWE or if AEW basically, they'll let him go. At this point, if you're getting a lot of negative publicity, if you have stars vocally, sharing negative aspects about your wrestling promotion on social media, on Twitter or whatever, it's not good. It's not good. Sometimes you got to cut your losses because other than that, they're just going to talk. And, it's not going to be good. And it's not, I'm not throwing the talkers under the bus. I'm not saying AEW is necessarily a crappy wrestling promotion. I just think sometimes you got to, sometimes to, you kind of you have to avoid conflict to kind of achieve peace and serenity to kind of, start your wrestling promotion. Like I said, have a good year. All right, next we have WrestleMania possibly going to Paris, France. We're going to talk about that. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage. Join me here in about 25 seconds away. Do not go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. So make sure you guys smash that like and subscribe button to the show. We talk about all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, all the rumors and all the drama. We talk about WWE stars, AEW stars, every wrestling star out there. We talk about their inactive statuses, their injury updates. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings amongst promotions. We talk about WWE to AEW to TNA to Ring of Honor. If it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling, we talk about it here on this show 1010%. All right, so without further ado, we got our fifth and final segment. We got WrestleMania going to Paris. Obviously, WWE has been spoken of. They have been... Basically, they stamped their ticket to everybody, knowing that they're going to go international. And it wouldn't be surprised. It really, honestly would not be a surprise. Last year, WWE Backlash was big. It was in France. It was absolutely insane. Obviously, with WWE going international, you had multi-platinum recording artist, singer Bad Bunny make an impact, basically saying that, in that San Juan fight at Backlash in 2023 was one of the best moments of his life. A lot of countries, they want WWE to come, to come produce a show. And it wouldn't be such a bad idea. WrestleMania going to Paris in Europe, are you kidding me? They would get absolutely they'd get all the love. They'd get all the love. You had ABC, you'd had NBC, and CBS. You would have them, this would be big. This would automatically be one of the biggest shows ever. Absolutely ever. WWE Backlash in France had one of the highest gates in the World Wrestling Entertainment history. Them coming possibly to, outside UF soil, I feel like right now it's more than a possibility. I feel like it's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. It all depends on when they're going to do it, when it's going to happen. Because with WWE's new deal with Netflix is the highest streaming service in the world. And that's not much of a surprise. They've been around longer than other people. But you give more of a different, nuanced approach to professional wrestling. For WWE fans, you kind of get this niche audience that you might not necessarily reach if you have Monday Night Raw on broadcasting on the USA Network. But on Netflix, this is a whole different ballgame, ladies and gentlemen. This is a whole different ballgame. Triple H, Paul Levesque, and the WWE are basically running rampant all over the world, basically on a quest to make everybody a wrestling fan. And I feel like it could be done. You have this entertainment factor. I feel like inside the WWE you have a little bit, I feel like in the United States, Americans are kind of like, oh, yeah, we know it's fake, I'm not going to watch it because it's fake, because it sucks, this and that and the other. And then in other countries, you have them like basically be like, oh yeah, we know it's fake, but it's part of the show. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like they more or less kind of embrace that theatrical value of professional wrestling, the entertainment. Also, but at the same time, admire some of the physical capabilities you see inside the ring constantly on a night-to-night basis on weekly broadcasted shows and monthly broadcasted PLEs. So, not that I'm saying that, outside the United States, people kind of appreciate professional wrestling more, but you see in Saudi Arabia, you've seen in France, you've seen outside in Latin America, these guys go crazy. They see WWE come to their country and they buy tickets, they buy plane tickets, they buy expensive hotel accommodations because they don't care. The world wants to see WWE. And like I said, on Netflix, it's like a match made in heaven. WWE definitely has hit a global standard. They are going to be internationally known. They're going to be all over the world and every single household. And I wonder how many countries, how many languages the WWE's broadcasted in. I know it's live over in 180 countries. I know that for a fact. But I don't know, I just think it's big, and fans love it. Fans love some WWE, so I definitely think it's it's super cool. Nick Khan confirms that heading to Paris for our PLE in 2025 is definitely going to happen. During a fireside chat with Khan in Las Vegas, Khan confirmed that the Paris PLE will take place later in the year. No exact date or location WrestleMania Backlash events usually, kind of fit the bill in that sort of case. An event to solidify that WrestleMania, kind of WrestleMania like a clean slate. France will add to the list of, destinations. Bad Bunny is still, he wants WWE to have a PLE in Puerto Rico. Once again, he even had this to say, and I quote, he says, he wants to put my life at risk in the ring. He wants to scare his mother. He wants to be like that PLE he's seen all his life growing up watching professional wrestling. So I thought that was actually pretty cool, pretty badass. WWE Elimination Chambers, it's going to be in Toronto, Canada. You have your Crown Jewel. You have your, what's the other one? Crown Jewel. And Clash at the Castle. And there's another Crown Jewel. What's the other one? I can't think of it right now. I can't believe it. Damn it. You have all these international PLEs, and just like you kind of notice right now in WWE, you have a little bit more international champions that you've had, as opposed to like back in the day. You have Obafemi, the NXT World Champion, Rhea Ripley from Australia. She's the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Champion. Julia from Japan. You have Chelsea Green from Canada. Shinsuke Nakamura. You have all these rising stars. You have Gunther, of course, as well from Austria. All these international presence. And I feel like Penta also will, kind of stake his claim against Braun Breaker for that WWE Intercontinental Championship. You have all these international different approaches coming to professional wrestling. So right now it kind of seems like it makes sense to have it makes sense to kind of have WrestleMania going from country to country, unlike the Super Bowl, which the NFL is only greatly appreciated in America. So you kind of have them bounce from state to state to state to state to state. And a lot of football fans do get upset because they have to pay for fare. They have to pay for airfare, hotel and traveling issues and stuff like that. But people still do it. And the Super Bowl, it's successful. It's successful. WWE is way beyond the United States. And obviously, thanks to this deal with Netflix, it's going to be like, okay, the Super Bowl broadcasts from state to state to state to state. Why can't one of the biggest events in wrestling history like WrestleMania be broadcasted from country to country to country to country? I feel like it would be great. I feel like it'd be one of the best business decisions ever made by WWE. You have a lot of professional wrestling, is watched within the United States. But behind them is Saudi Arabia. Behind them is Germany. Behind them is Japan. There's all these, and so on and so forth. All these countries are waiting for a WWE event to be, and they're going to pay for it. And that's something that WWE is definitely paying attention to, because, if you have something immediately close, like if I'm somebody who lives in, if I'm somebody who lives in Spain, or if I'm somebody who lives in, what's another country, like Sweden or Great Britain or Ireland, and I find out that they're going to have a WrestleMania at Paris, I would start planning that day. Hell yeah, I'd buy some airfare. I'd buy the cheapest hotel. I'd eat McDonald's for a week straight. I'm just kidding, no. Gotta save some money. Eat top ramen noodles. I don't know. But, all I'm saying is WWE is going international. It's going to be big. And it would not surprise me if one day WrestleMania does wind up in Paris. All right, guys, so hey, that's it for me today. Hope you guys had a great time watching the show. Remember to Superman punch that, like and subscribe. Remember to follow us on Twitter /X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, the GSMC Sports Network. Make sure you guys pay attention. Make sure you guys tune into all the other podcasts as well. If I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got college sports. We have everything. We have the NFL. We have, all around sports that talk about hockey, soccer, baseball, the NBA, you name it. So make sure you guys like and subscribe to the show, and you will do no wrong. It's your boy E here, your favorite wrestling fan, signing out. Stay beautiful, but most importantly, love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the